Okay, this is now the 5-minute tarot for the 11th of August 2017, and today I'd like to consider how you begin a reading, or rather, what is the starting point for doing a reading. And a lot of people, let's say they know the question, then they'll shuffle, and I have to hold this deck up, but I can't move the webcam. Okay, so they'll shuffle and they've got the cards here, and then they'll take the first card off and they'll turn it over and they'll put it down on the table, right? And then they'll take the second card, turn it over, look at it and put it down, let's say in a Celtic cross. And then again the third card, and they'll turn it over and put it down. So this means that you end up with something like is going to appear on screen, because where you've got a Celtic cross, let's say, and you've got all the cards face up. And so once you've laid all the cards, that kind of is the starting point for you. And so what happens then is you may lay the cards face up reasonably quickly. So you're mainly concentrated on putting all 10 cards in their appropriate position, and then you'll maybe look at the spread. Although maybe you take a moment as you turn each card to have a think about it, and then you place it on the table. So that's how I think a lot of people begin. For them, the reading begins once all the cards are face up on the table and they can see what's there. And they know the question, and they'll maybe look and think, okay, we've got a major trump here. So they start talking about that. Or there's another card, maybe there's a card they don't like, or a card they really do like, so they'll naturally start talking about that particular card. But I think what happens if you lay everything face down is you've got an idea of the answer. And so what you do is you look at the spread, but you're not really looking to see what the answer is, because you already know the answer, but you're looking for proof in the cards that are there. And that can mean that you look at, because you know the answer, because you've got an idea that you think you want to explain, you'll look at a card and take a particular meaning from that particular card, even if it's doubtful. But because you're sort of seeing what you want to see, because you already know the answer, or you intuitively know the answer. But it's a bit like you're starting at the end and working your way back. And I don't think that works so well, because you tend to see what you want to see. And also you can have something like, let's say somebody wants to know if they're going to meet somebody. And let's say you get the reverse King of Swords in the 9th position, which is hopes and fears. You can look at it and, okay, you intuit, or you think, okay, the person's going to meet somebody. Or maybe you decide, I want to be able to tell them they really want to meet somebody, so I'm going to tell them yes, and you try and explain how, because that's what the person really wants. So you look at that King of Swords reversed, but then you have to wonder, does this mean it's a relationship that isn't going to happen because the King's reversed? Or does it mean that it's a relationship that's going to end badly because it's a King reversed? Or does it mean it's a relationship that the person has a chance to have, but it's a bad one, but they're going to get involved with this person even though they know it's a mistake, and it's going to end badly? If you start from the end with what you think is the answer, it can be very difficult to know what to make of that reverse King of Swords. So for me, what's going to appear on screen is, I think, the starting point of a reading, or in this case a Celtic cross. All the cards are in position, but they're face down, and you don't know anything. You know the question, but you don't know anything about the answer at this point. So what you're going to do is you're going to turn each card individually, and you're going to do it slowly, and you're going to say 2 or 3 things about the card before you move on to the next one. And if you don't know what to say, you're going to make yourself say something. You're going to ramble on, you're going to talk about it. Or maybe you're going to remind yourself of what the question is. So you shuffle, you've laid the cards, and you turn the first card, and that's the atmosphere surrounding the question. So you talk about it, and you talk about what kind of atmosphere it is. And what's happening with this approach is that you're exploring, and instead of starting at the end and trying to work back, you're starting with the question and moving forward. And so by the time you reach the end, or by the time you get the answer, the questioner has got a whole wide ton of information that they can take with them, and it can give them more knowledge or more understanding in different areas of life. It can teach them about them, because it can have them consider things they had ignored or things they hadn't thought about before. So instead of thinking the reader ought to know the answer before you've even turned any cards, you're looking on the next, let's say, 15 minutes to turn the spread over as a time of exploration and examining and wondering and questioning. So you turn the first card, and it's the Chariot, and it's upright. So that's a kind of atmosphere. So maybe it's a question about relationships. And so if you've got, let's say, a court card as the opposing force, right? Is that somebody who's going to get in the way, or a relationship where they're going to fall out with the person? So you turn that card, and at this point you don't know, but you say to them, it could be somebody who gets in your way, or it could be you getting in your own way. But we're going to remember this when we go to the 8th position, which is the influence of other people. And depending on what we find there, we're going to know better what this opposing court card is about. Because if we've got a good card in the 8th position showing friendship and so on and harmony, then even though this person may say no, they don't mean it, or they say no, but you're going to be able to talk them into it. Whereas if the influence of other people is the devil reversed, then this person is a problem, or is more likely to be a problem that you're going to struggle to solve. Or else maybe you talk about this, and then the person says, I've got this meeting next week. So you say, okay, let's say we're on card 2 or card 3, and they say it comes up in the discussion that they've got a meeting next week. So you say, okay, the 6th card is immediate future. So we're going to remember the question about the meeting next week, and when we turn that card, we're going to look at it. We'll relate it to what's already gone before, the things we've talked about up until that point, but we will remember and look at that card to give us an idea of what you can expect from the meeting next week. So if you get a good card, the meeting will go well. But if you get a difficult card, or a card that relates in some way to what you've already gone on to, because if you look at the foundation card, you're going to talk about the past, maybe what worked, what didn't work, the person's strengths and weaknesses that they either developed or refused to develop, or should have done more developing of. And so maybe if you've got a cup there, and you've got a cup for what will come, then the meeting next week maybe is a repeat of what went on before. So you can remind them about what they should have done in the past, and if they don't do it in the future, they're going to have the same problem. So next meeting, the meeting next week is a chance to make an improvement. Or maybe they talk about something they're afraid of. So you think, okay, hopes and fears are the 9th position. So by the time we get to 8, we're going to look and see what if you've really got anything to be afraid of, or what the fear actually is. So then by the time you've turned all 10 cards, you've discussed a lot. The questioner has an awful lot more knowledge and understanding of their complete situation. And they're going to be able to take knowledge they've gained and apply it in other areas of their life. And so they're going to be better off for the reading, as well as getting an answer to the question that they asked. So what's the starting point? Is it when all the cards are face up? I think that's the end. But face down, and you know the question, but you don't know any part of the answer. I think that's a liberating position for the reader and the questioner to be in, so that as you turn each card and develop it, and everybody is developing understanding about what's going on, or the best way to handle it, or what should be forgotten about and moved, and you move on. Again, it depends on the question. Okay, that was it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you, if not tomorrow, then in a couple of days. Okay, bye-bye.